Hello and welcome to my vlog on technology in sport. My name is Bradley Watson and I have been tasked to teach you a few different aspects of technology and why they are important to sport. First of all, I will go into detail about two types of technology, talking about what it does, how it collects data and who uses that data, before going into the benefits and ethical issues. Obviously explain later on what ethical issues are for those who don't understand. Next, I will compare the technology to the traditional methods that were put in place years ago. Obviously before technology advanced, there was lesser known types of the technology. Giving facts into how it gotten worse or better. Obviously a lot of them have got better due to the technological advances. In this section, I will talk about things like change in accuracy, speed and reliability, then finishing off with the limitations. To cap off the vlog, I will talk about why technology should be used, diving into how it has impacted performance, why limitations are outweighed by benefits, and lastly, why it is still acceptable to use technology. So first, technology is very important in sport, and some would say it shapes the world of sport we have today. Over time, evolutions have occurred in technology that help to improve every minor detail of a sport. The two technologies I have chosen to speak about today are wearable technologies like your smartwatches and Garmin, as well as your VAR, predominantly rising to fame in the sport we know as football. Evology states that wearable technology in sport is referring to electronic devices worn by athletes, not only to monitor their performance, to analyse results, therefore enhancing performance but also health-related aspects, where tracking an athlete's recovery levels are important. VAR, however, is more to aid officials in their decision making. The Premier League states that VAR, or video assistant referee, is an aid in officiating, used to assist with decisions that may be more difficult to the naked eye. The first technology I stated was Garmin, so obviously wearable technologies, diving deeper. We will talk about Garmin watches. Garmin itself states that it is designed to combine fitness and health monitoring into one comfortable device. The watch itself gathers data in a few ways, including heart rate monitoring through sensors within the watch, allowing for an accurate measurement. Activity levels like distance of a run, calories burnt, and obviously heart rate, not only physically, as the watch can also track patterns in sleep. This is important in the rest and recovery stages for obviously a lot of sports. Garmin watches use technology that, being a phone app, connects to the watch to track the level of your workout through Bluetooth. Without being paired, the watch won't be able to carry out its function. Once this is done, you can configure the tracking settings to your personal level. This is so that you can only see the areas you feel necessary. Obviously, if you're doing a training session based on certain stuff, people may feel uncomfortable if they see stuff that they maybe didn't want to see. The people who use this would be athletes, more in a training environment, as they can track progression and regression in their levels. This could be fitness testing taking place. High levels will be expected, and tracking them can help see the effects of training. Coaches then can see the results coming from the watch and start to change training sessions based on the whole team's result, zoning into more specific actions that need to be improved. A few benefits of the Garmin watch would consist of the fact that it takes a deeper dive into your statistics like body battery and stress levels that are important when it comes to reducing the risk of injury, but also fitness aspects like VO2 max, which is a key fitness test in the sporting world due to testing your endurance within football being a 90-minute game. Having to track your VO2 max can allow you to see if you're progressing or regressing in fitness levels. If regressed, an injury may be slow approaching. Another benefit of this will be the fact that our accurate GPS tracking mixed with a longer battery life. With the GPS, the watch will start to track your location, stopping those who go on longer runs to become lost. pairing with a longer battery life to make sure it will never run out over a long distance, like a marathon runner would train. This was said by Isaac Faney. Some ethical issues, however, would consist of data privacy issues. Data that is collected within these watches can be seen as personal to some and can be assessed within the app when a person is unaware, making that person feel uncomfortable to always wear it. Another issue that Garmin faces is security risks. Apps can be hacked by people for no reason at all, stealing personal information from millions of users, allowing them to have access to not only people's health questions, but also financial information through in-app purchases. This was said by Sue et al. In 2023 in their vlog. The next technology is VAR. It talks about what it basically acts as a second man as the referee, helping with decisions that can be hard to see with the naked eye. The system was set up in 2018 due to an alarming amount of numbers of decisions that teams were viewing to be wrong. It works by an incident occurring which will be checked through cameras placed around the stadium, whether this be a foul, serious play or offside. The referee will then communicate to us officials sitting in a room where the replay is reviewed to come to a decision by both the officials and referee talking through that decision. The decision will then be displayed on the big screen and relayed to players, coaches and the fans. This was said by PFSA in 2020. Data is collected through incident reports. When someone is checked, a report will be made. Depending on the issue, whether this be a card offence or an offside. If a red card is being checked, VAR will note who made the challenge for the referee to show similar to an offside. VAR will note who made the challenge for the referee to follow similar to an offside. The people that would predominantly use this is the referee as officials, as players and coaches do not have access to the footage, both in the game and after the game. If coaches want to work on the issue VAR checked, they will need to note it down on a pad to analyse it in a training environment. This was said by Football Insights in 2024. A few benefits of VAR would be the fact it stops pressure put on referees to please both sets of fans. When VAR reviews an action, it is down to both the referee and officials to make decisions based on what they saw, dropping the pressure on referees. There have been instances of referees being abused online based off a decision they've made that changed the course of the game. This shouldn't be happening, yet it still occurs. Another benefit would be that it stops diving and players being unsportsmanlike. Before technology, players would get away with bending the rules, obviously known as gamesmanship. More often than now, fouls would not be given when they were clear. Similarly, penalties would be given for diving due to neither the referee nor the fourth official being able to see the issue. Due to an improvement in technology, this rarely occurs now. Lastly comes the ethical issues. These issues occurred more before the technology was put in place due to the increase of not only human error, inconsistency of decisions being given. I think to consider ethically when introducing VAR was the fact that it stops the flow of the game, causing players and fans to be frustrated. Obviously as well, it's important to know about the cost of VAR. Obviously, the lower leagues can't afford it, so you see Premier League teams gaining VAR, but Championship, League 1, League 2 still don't have the money for that. This was said by Diaz in 2024. So to compare it to traditional methods, so first we have Garmin. Traditionally, athletes would use stopwatches, lesser advanced watch brands, also pedometers that track movement. This is important, especially for runners. VAR, however, had officials that stood closer to the goal for a better view. They'd stand on the line of view where the keeper was so that they could see the ball go over the line. Obviously, this still made errors, so they scrapped it. And then obviously, before VAR, the first technology that was actually introduced was goal line technology. Basically, they did it to stop issues occurring. Obviously, it happened after the Frank Lampard goal at the World Cup. England were outraged, so they introduced the goal line technology to help this. So now, Garmin are more active, faster at gaining information. Obviously, with a heart rate, you have to check your pulse, count to a minute, whereas this watch will just get your heart rate instantly. More reliable due to advances in technology. Obviously, the more we advance technology, the more reliable the technology will become. Obviously, especially in a big brand like Garmin. And then lastly, human error decreases as people use to count their own heart rate and other aspects which may lead to errors. Obviously, in a training professional environment like this as well, errors can be costly, especially in like fitness test results. Because obviously it's not valid, it's not reliable, and obviously you've messed up your own results because of the lack of technology. VAR, similarly, more accurate due to advances in technology. Like we said with goal line technology, there were still errors being made. I think back to Villa staying in the Premier League because goal line technology didn't fully work. So this was another issue, and this is another reason VAR was put into place, and it has been more accurate. Decisions can be made quicker depending on the action. Obviously, a lot of serious play VAR checks are still taking ages, but obviously compared to getting the decision wrong, I think all football fans would prefer this. More reliable, more officials reviewing the situation. So in the VAR room, there's 4 people communicating with the ref. The ref will go up to the board and he'll make a decision. So that's 5 people compared to no technology where decisions were going against teams that shouldn't have been. Lastly, human error becomes almost 0%. However, some issues still occur. Obviously, when players have blocked VAR's line of vision, they'll still get things wrong because obviously they can't see the foul or the offside because their field of view is blocked. This was said by Premier League in 2019. For the critical evaluation, cost, they're both expensive. Obviously, the more technology advances, the more inflation happens. This will happen. Complexity, new technology becomes confusing. Obviously, VAR referees will be taught how to use new technology, but obviously if you're an older generation person with a Garmin watch, it may become hard to understand the technology, making customers want to buy their products less and less, and obviously it'll be damaging to the company. Over-reliance, technology is being relied on, knowing we have it. Referees starting to not give decisions knowing VAR can change it. Obviously similar with Garmin watches, people are just going out their way and relying on the technology. Obviously this was never a thing back in the day. Obviously brands in the lower technology department are losing money, and it is all down to Garmin becoming so big. So I hope you learned something new today based on the 2 types of technology suggested, and you can take this with you to your qualification you wish to gain. This vlog went over both wearable technologies and VAR, known as Video Assistant Referee, going through how they're used, the benefits and the ethical issues that come with them. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed.